So we, yeah. So we'll pick up where we had left off here before our break, of wonderful sandwiches and pining over a lot of other foods that now many of us may also want to eat. And while this mysterious tower is burning in the distance, one of you had put his back to it and was making his way to the a precinct where, through reciprocity with the Old Port constabulatory, you were told that you could bring this prisoner and drop her off. And so Jacob, you are walking. You're walking through the streets, and there are people. Like the streets by this point are closer to the epicenter of this. There's people, but it's not a crush of humanoidity that are trying to flee, because a lot of the people who've wanted to flee have already fled. And you are also seeing that there are other agents of law enforcement that are out, giving orders, telling people to remain calm and orderly. If you wish to evacuate, go down this road. And so for you, not even that you're getting lost, but even if you were lost, there are people that can guide you here. You're looking at perhaps a 20-minute walk at least, if you aren't cut off in some way, or if you don't have to go around. And so you have this time, not necessarily private time, unless you're purposely trying to look for back alleyways and streets that are not filled with people, or at least not obviously filled with people.
I'm trying to end up keeping it. I'm trying to end up keeping it in a point of, well, given what I know she is capable of doing with her teeth, trying to end up keeping most people at a safe distance, and the fewer the better. Though I'm not willing to end up going into back alleys or something like that, as it might end up turning into a case of now, well, the public is also a point of safety in this regard.
So, all right, side streets, not main streets, but also not back alleyways.
Exactly.
Gotcha. Okay, so you'll have a little bit more time and less people to be around. There will still be people, because now, we're approaching noon, which for many people might be a lunch hour, and of course with the disaster in the city. She's following you, and you leave the epicenter, and you begin down the main road that you were first told, but you find a favorable, less used side street, and turn that way while keeping where the precinct is in your mind.
Fantastic. I end up keeping her and keeping an eye upon her, but as I end up doing so, now that we have a moment of reprieve, tell me here, young... Yes, I think I'll end up referring to you as young lady. Do you happen to have an actual name, or... I try not to presume.
So you have her manacled, and she's not dragging her feet or fighting you, but she's definitely just wobbling and seems kind of more weak than hesitant, but she's certainly not enthusiastic.
Of course not.
She moves her mouth slightly, and a little bit of air comes out, but it's difficult to hear what it is.
I would assume then this would end up implying you're famished, yes? Nod your head if that's correct.
She tries to speak, and you just get her hair especially because she's been covered, it's still kind of wet, has some sand and stuff kicked into it. She's looking very bedraggled, but you just get a nod.
Now, I'm at a loss here, but given what I do understand from folklore of your condition, I could take a moment. God, sometimes this is that point where I'm not 100% sure if what I'm about to do is lawful good or lawful stupid. He looks to her, and I would assume that we do have some back alleys or what have you.
Yeah, you can still go down an alleyway.
He makes sure to end up having her turned back away, and starts to, or he tries to end up making sure he's always at her back, though keeps a firm grip upon her until he's convinced that he is completely out of the sight of others.
Okay, yep, you're not under any pressure, so that's fine. There might be an occasional person here or there. You make sure to check in any windows that might overlook the alleyway, and you wait till things are clear.
It's against my better judgment to do this, but whatever you are, I do not wish to end up here causing you any further harm or undue suffering. So understand that this is a point of clemency. If it does not end up being returned in favor, this is going to be a terrible day for both of us. And I imagine you don't need it to be any worse. He releases her for a second, reaches over, and kind of takes one of his tin cups from his mess pack that's hanging off the side of his backpack, and kind of unsheaths his blade just a bit as he kind of just runs a little bit of this lower palm through. He's not trying to cut the meat too deep. He's just and starts to pour what he can. Now, it's not a deep cut, so he's not going to be able to fill the whole thing, not even close, but it'll probably be maybe a quarter of an inch at the bottom before he's and he's making sure that she doesn't turn around when he does so, before he ends up with his non-wounded hand moving it to the side, the inner vision. Now, because her manacles are behind her, he's going to direct it towards her mouth very carefully, and he's very cautious in case she's going to try and bite him. Yes, no point in... I'm not intending to degrade her any further. He does so in very gentlemanly, fashion. Better? You're welcome, miss, or lady, or what would the assumed title be? Gwendolyn? Gwendolyn. Well, Gwendolyn. Would I from the accent, I have to assume Shadowheart Empire, correct?
Correct.
Now, you can imagine I have no interest in making this a threatening conversation, but I am going to have to end up having you detained. Given your unique status, you being out in the streets and any wind being caught, you would probably be lynched on the spot, and I have no intention of allowing that to happen. Especially with, he gives a gesture towards the smoke. Recent events, pulses are raising, and that does not fare well for you.
Frankly,
Would you agree?
it might be for the best.
Why is that?
Just, she kind of looks over her. While your blood certainly did liven her up. I mean, she looks wrinkled. She looks sapped, probably from being encased in one of these things and being underwater as well. She's just sort of presenting herself as an answer. I've been captured. I am decrepit. And, as you know, a vampire.
Captured, perhaps. Decrepit. I hardly see it. As for your nature, whatever that may be, I have every intention of bringing you to face trial. As far as I have been concerned, the problem is not with you, but your near country. And if it is true that you are living for hundreds of years, for all I know, this is something that you can blow over in a few decades. So, I would not sell your chances short. Perhaps
you let me eat, perhaps more, even if not from you.
I will not allow another person to end up coming into harm.
No, not a person. I hear an animal of some kind further down behind that crate.
I'd like to end up rolling an insight check. Is she trying to play on his kindness, or is this legitimate?
Go ahead. As far as you're concerned, this is a legitimate request. She seemingly has heard an animal behind the crate and has asked you if she could eat it.
She doesn't seem like she can move all that well in the first place, so I will allow it in the fashion that I will grab the animal, whatever it may be.
Okay. So you approach the crate, and sure enough, there is an animal there. In its own kind of sense of justice, karma, irony, or whatnot. It looks like a cat has actually caught a mouse in the alleyway, and was playing with the food there, and the mouse is gone. The cat's just having some fun here before it presumably eats it, and the cat also has a collar on. And the cat kind of looks up at you, and it doesn't run away. It seems to be domesticated enough. It's used to people.
With the bloodied hand, he reaches down, gives it scratches, pets along its ear. and walks away. As he does so, he opens the wound. And he is pouring it. If this was a stray, something that would attack him, cause a threat, then, well, animals get put down by the law. At this point, that is a house pet that is playing. A member of someone's family. And by no law, and no justice would be here served. And if, well, Investigator Stillwaters is no stranger to bleeding to enhance justice, so I'm willing to give up, and this is a fair amount, I'm willing to give up to 10 hit points.
Well, that's not necessarily quantifiable, although I hit the mark pretty close here with 14 slashing damage over your injuries. This was this was a very poor crit, so let me roll a poor crit for you. If you ever need one, roll higher than me, please. So so you end up re-injuring yourself, and you can fill the cup. You can fill the cup more, as you've done more than just a superficial cut into yourself.
Yeah,
and
it's a little difficult. It's a little difficult to close the hand at this point. Might have cut a little too deep.
She drinks rather greedily, and as she does, you can see that kind of wet, wrinkled, like raisin sort of texture in the. I mean, she's already dead, but the even more sickly color start to revert and smooth out. And it's not a blush of life, even per the Vampire the Masquerade mechanic, but she looks more normal than she did, where she was just an undead raisin walking around with you.
I would presume it would taste terrible anyway, and then you deserve some proper.
I can feel it.
Strong enough. Moving on. The ship that you were on, what is it? What was its destination and purpose? What was its name?
It was a military ship. It was, you put me in a pinch here. Hang on.
I'm an investigator.
Yep, no, I understand. As a DM, I have to,
Not gonna get out of this one with a business card.
Yeah. Yeah, you got me. A merchant marine vessel. Military, but more for supplies. It was, the Wild Cherry that I served upon. We were delivering supplies and also picking up cargo.
Where?
We were supposed to deliver here to this port, and we were on our way before events, the attack.
You were unaware of events before the attack. Would you be more specific?
The sea creatures.
Now you say unaware of events. Which events were you? Which events were you specifically detailing?
The men of war. We know that they are in your waters this time of year, but we never expected anything like that that creature, that other thing.
I regret that I could not end up saving more of your shipmates. For that, you have my apology.
It seemed to control them.
And it seemed to control you, no different.
They also... Make a persuasion for me, Jacob.
Because this went fantastic the last time.
You can't do worse. Look at it this way. You literally can't do worse than than the last one. So
Yeah.
That thing seemed like it targeted us. I can't tell you why or how, but it's a feeling.
What's the feeling?
It targeted us.
Well,
There were no other ships at sea. It was just us.
I am currently doing an insight.
You think she's telling you the truth? No reason to doubt her. The story seems consistent so far. I'm good to walk
Yeah.
if you want to continue to lead me to jail.
A temporary incarceration. I will do the best I can in doing so. As I said, right now this is more of a precautionary measure, as you've not ended up violating any laws outside of the laws of nature, many would describe.
There's
But-
nothing natural about me. Not anymore. And she'll start shuffling. Like, this isn't now that I'm like sapped in a sea soggy raisin, but she just she has a defeated air about her.
Perhaps. But I wouldn't give up hope so easily. How old are you, Gwendolyn?
Gwendolyn, no G.
Gwendolyn. I do apologize. Gwendolyn.
You know it's rude to ask a woman her age.
Technically, you don't qualify. You said it yourself.
She stares at you for a moment, and a grin parts, and she obviously a fang is gonna poke through as well, but that's not in threat. That just happens because she's grinning.
He smiles back at her. It's a soft smile.
"28. I was traveling and hoping to save up money to bring home.
Well. And now you came to this. He kind of looks over. Does she appear to be 28 as far as age, like in the mid, almost early 30s?
Yeah.
Yes. And how long ago was that? 10 years, 100 years?
Wasn't that long ago?
You're recently created.
Yes.
Oh dear.
Many of us have been.
Do you know who or what made you?
A vampire.
I would presume. Or at least if the law holds. But at least that confirms that. Allow me to ask though, do you know its name?
No. It was something that happened suddenly. It happened aboard the Wild Cherry.
Upon the wild cherry. Very well then. Let us get you into a cell where there's no daylight, and I will end up rejoining my companions, see what we can do about this whole mess, and I will return for you.
She looks up at you, looks down at the ground, shrugs, and continues walking behind you.
He stops. He has this look of concern on his eye. Gwendolyn. You are part of the Shadowhawk Empire. Were you a soldier? Or always a sailor?
Technically a soldier, but a merchant as well. We supply the Navy and other operations. We're twained, but we're not a fighting ship. We were waylaid at sea.
Then, speaking as a soldier, hold your head up. Do not end up lowering yourself, even in defeat. Because this is not a defeat. This is life taking on a new form. And in transition, I will be back for you. So hold your head up. Something as pretty as you shouldn't feel the need to hide. He continues to move.
All right. Are you heading? Are you still taking side streets, or are you going back to a main route?
He will go back to a. He's going to cut to the chase at this point. He's had a moment to get more basic notes down.
Okay. What's your passive perception, by the way?
15.
Okay. So you continue walking. She's relatively silent until Gwendolyn says, I don't know if I could hope to ever get a private jail cell. It must be filled with people reacting to whatever was happening with that tower.
Perhaps. Is that going to be a problem for you? Because at this point, the thing that's saving you is you have not ended up breaking any laws and just happen to be associated with a country. That being said, should you end up causing any form of harm to those individuals who you are locked in with, the law will take its course.
I'll probably be killed, honestly.
Not under my direction.
And depending on how hungry I am, I will try to control myself. But you also have guards who are chasing people who apparently have stolen things from the wreckage. And
Yes.
she kind of like nods over. Those kids there have something. I heard them talking about it.
Is she playing me?
No, she indicates over to the side. She indicates over to the side. There's a couple kids all like huddled together. So their backs are to you. There's a couple kids like off on the side. Apparently looking at something. And she looks at you. Your blood is fascinating and empowering. I can seemingly think clearly with it.
Very well done. He kind of readjusts the cloak he has over her so no one's really aware that she's manacled. Try and behave yourself. And he approaches these individuals, these young men and women, these soon to be here upstanding citizens.
All right, they're too engrossed in whatever they're looking at, so you can not sneak up on them, but you can approach them without them really noticing you.
Kind of looks over their shoulder, sees what they have.
Okay. As you're approaching, you hear things like, "What is it? Oh, do you think it's the tip? What is that? Did it move? Is that how that works? Oh, gross! So cool. I wonder if the person's still alive."
He kind of leans over. What are they looking at?
Make a medicine at advantage. Not necessarily because you couldn't identify it, but this is, I don't know, if you get a little extra flair. Okay, 13. It's not a. It's certainly a part, and you have to rack your brain for a moment. Ah, yes, where we're at. This seems to be a piece of horn from a tiefling that they're holding. And they're kind of like poking at it, and
Well, what do we have here, gentlemen?
whoa! They all sort of turn, and the one hides it behind his back. What?
You know, for someone so young to be involved with the dismemberment of another humanoid, I'm kind of curious. Tell me, was he screaming when you took it?
Took what?
Well, I imagine that piece of horn in your hand right now will be leaving quite a bit of a stain.
He has one behind his hand, but what? I have nothing in my hand, and I write with this hand.
I'll tell you what. He kind of leans over, places a hand on the shoulder. What's your name, young one? What was your name?
No, I'm just...
Oh, we have a smart aleck here. Well, I have a little secret for you, Wild Jay. Come here. He kind of just gets a good grip and drags over.
Whoa!
Now,
And he flails, and he, as he does, his arms go up. Something falls out of his hand. What? Hey!
Yes. He kind of forces the down to a knee, which, because of his weight, kind of pushes this individual down even further. Now, what does that look like? What is that? I couldn't tell.
We couldn't either. That's why we were talking about it. It's really cool, though.
Yes. It's kind of just like as if I'm going to place it on his head. I'm not actually going to, but I'm going to try and fit it. Oh, that doesn't go there. Now, where did you find this little thing?
Give me an intimidation at advantage. I don't have to tell you anything. You're not a police officer. You're just some guy.
You're right. I'm not a police officer. That is why I'm bringing over this here woman over here. He starts dragging them over. Now, he kind of places his hand over both as he ends up leaning over. Now, unfortunately, she is afflicted with a very strange disease.
The kids all kind of look between each other.
And I can't imagine where I'm going to be able to hold everybody here. But if I have to end up doing so, because nobody's willing to give me a straight answer, unfortunately the letter of the law says that we must detain. And the fact of the matter is that there's only so much space. I would hate to be trapped in with someone who is not feeling so well. It's the kind of thing that makes you look at her,
kind of looks
like a raisin.
You can't scare me. I already had chicken pox.
Oh, it goes far beyond chicken pox, little. Hey, darling, why don't you show him your pearly whites?
She looks at you, looks down at the kid. and kind of lunges forward, opening her mouth just like an inch. The fangs come down.
Now, unfortunately, I'm going to have to end up keeping you both in the same cell because I don't have time to be here playing 20 questions. So I will leave you in, probably take 2 or 3 days, and then I'll come back and ask my questions or see what the
Three
autopsy
simultaneous,
says.
like, tinkling sounds come from each of the 3 kids as they are simultaneously wetting themselves on the sidewalk here. Just take it. Okay, it's yours. That guy didn't need it anymore. It broke off when he ran away with that other woman.
What other woman?
The ones that were by that place.
He gestures to the current smoking wreckage that everybody's currently ogling at that place.
Yeah. That's the place where we were hanging out there and totally not doing bad stuff. And we saw them go in and
Stop
we were
lying to me. Now, I know that you're a bunch of miscreants, and right now I have no time to end up dealing with it. So if nobody wants to give me a straight answer, I guess I'll just be taking the lot of you.
No, we swear we didn't know what. Maybe we thought that they were gonna go do some adult things in that warehouse, and so like not that we're being pervy or something, but we you hear things and so we went and they went in, and just not that long afterwards there was like an explosion, and the woman flew out, and then he came and he flew out too, and he hit his head, and he lost a horn and picked her up, and they seemed to go, they're kind of badly hurt, but then they didn't need it anymore, so we ran forward and we found his cool horn, and then we ran away.
All right. Now, children, this is what we call a come to Palor moment, where you're going to have to end up considering where you're going in life. Become an upstanding citizen. Open a shop. Say you love your mom and dad. End up giving them a big hug. And be grateful that you're not having to end up turning your life around later. Is right now, this is where we end up seeing if we can make productive members of our little society now. A gathering of good folk. Or you tend to get eaten in cells by monsters. Now, head along and go tell your parents you love them.
Yes, yeah. And the one who's like super mopey hasn't said anything the whole time. Like, but I can't go Palor because I already did it in my pants. And this poor kid is like,
Palor forgives all kinds of transgressions. And in fact, I think you've just come to a realization on what you're heading down. Now go change and go to Mother and Father.
They scamper off.
He takes hold of the horn. Now,
Okay.
I'm under the impression that this is part of a disguise kit.
Examining it closely, it does not. It actually appears to be the real deal. Like, this is an actual, factual piece of a tiefling horn, and it is it's violet in color.
Violet. Well, I'll have to keep an eye out for somebody who's missing a horn at this point out. Well, thank you very much, Wendell. I will see if I can end up meeting some arrangements for your assistance.
She's kind of like she has a little smile creeping on her face, despite her otherwise looking, like still down about her circumstances. But for that moment, for that one moment, she actually got to do something that was distracting and fun.
He has no qualms on that and kind of just continues to take her in. Though he will end up doing so with forcing her to stand up a little straighter at this point.
So you are going to, you'll continue to escort her as time is passing. I do want to visit some of the others who are doing more investigating.
Yeah, by all means. That's fantastic. I look forward to next week when we piece all this together.
Oh, all right. Well, hey, we still have about 40 minutes left here, so we'll see what we continue to do. But let's go over to Celine and Kazimir. I mean, what you're doing is a lot of it is kind of behind the scenes service, and you're helping to staunch wounds and bind things and sew things. You're using triage to have your magic be as effective as possible, because I mean you only have so many spell slots. Especially I'm looking at you, Kazimir.
Oh, trust me, I'm running low too.
And so while this is happening over the course of time, I mean, a lot of this is more you're providing your services, but is there anything in particular that you're hoping to do before we hit back to Mordecai and Bright?
I do want to, once he returns, I do want to talk with the High Priest, because it's this entire situation is exceptionally concerning, and the more information that I have on the situation, the better, because then we can have multiple avenues of investigation running.
Okay.
And then once the party comes back together, we can collapse all the information together and figure out what happened from there.
All right. So the higher ups haven't returned yet. So if that's what you're waiting for, that'll happen later in the evening.
Yeah, no, that'll be later on in the evening. Okay. Otherwise, it'll just be triaging in a magical fashion, and then once I run out of spell slots, which will happen relatively quickly because I did spend a lot of spell slots in that battle, she'll move to more mundane triage work.
Okay. Kazimir, again, you're not bound here by any sort of oath or service to the Order. You're certainly welcome to stay, and you're told that if you do want a place to stay, some room and board, and they might even be able to arrange a little bit of like a thank you pay, you can stay and continue to work if you'd like, or you could leave at any point in time.
I think I'll just stay with Celine for now.
Okay. All right, so you two are staying there. Now let's go back over to the scene of the event. And what are you looking at trying to discover, or you said you were going to talk to people because you have comprehend languages up?
I do, and someone who speaks Draconic, ideally a Dragonborn native speaker, to figure out what this puzzle's
sure.
supposed to be about.
We'll say that there is there's a Dragonborn here. She is dressed as a sailor, and just regarding things, watching, not super intently, not dispassionately, but, someone, if you sail, you see a lot of different things, and this is definitely something to see. But you have a copper Dragonborn, and she's dressed in sailing clothes. Nothing military looking, just kind of, whatever, swabby, kind of a sun-bleached, a little bit torn shirt, and some swabby pants and whatnot, some sturdy shoes. She does seem like she's definitely worked on a ship, just got muscles for days. Leaning against one of the buildings and quietly regarding what's happening as the dark fire is reflecting off of her scales.
I kind of nonchalantly sidle up a little, like, giving her personal space, but kind of close.
Mm-hmm.
What do you make of this?
Fire.
Well, yes, but you're watching.
You don't see black fire every day.
No, that's true.
Yeah, I don't see this in Kandor.
No, I'd imagine not. I did have a bit of a question for you.
What's your question?
Came across a riddle in Draconic.
Okay.
I was wondering if maybe it's something common, maybe it's something I don't understand because I'm tiefling and, language barriers and all of that.
Oh, well, sure. I hear a lot of riddles on the sea. Our people are born from, very important people of the past. She's now like, she's kind of puffing herself, like she's not leaning against the building anymore. Her stance is a little bit more like, she's loosened up and she's like, yeah, come on, flatter me.
Now, I understand the literal meaning of the words.
Mm-hmm.
But, maybe you could put the clues together.
Well, yeah, of course. I've sailed all around our inner sea, and I've even sailed up towards north past Kandor, towards where the border to the Shadowheart Empire would be. I've seen things and I've heard things.
Good to know. In common, it translates iron roof, glass walls, burns and never falls. You heard that one. Seeing as I only know the literal words, I'm not entirely sure how it translates in the nuances of Draconic, but...
Yeah, can you repeat that in Draconic, please?
I will attempt to say the words that Bright said.
Sure. Make a performance at disadvantage.
Alright. Let's see how well that goes.
Oof. A disadvantage of 26. Yeah, all right. Wow.
This is what I'm good at.
Well, you had to get a win somewhere.
Wow. If I were to say something, yeah, it sounds like it sounds like one of the buildings in Shadowheart. They use a lot of metal. They have a lot of glass too. They must be rich with the stuff. I've seen a couple of their buildings. Yeah, it's probably one of them.
A Shadowheart riddle in Draconic.
Well, it is an important language. They may be our enemy, but maybe they have good taste in language. The Shadowheart Empire is very old. It's natural. A lot of riddles are written in Dragonborn these days. It's a popular thing to do.
Yes, and, well, my Draconic is not exactly the best.
Yeah, if I were to bet anything, it'd be a Shadowheart Tower. Maybe even, it reminds me of a lighthouse that we saw when we were going up to towards the border. Yes.
Do you know about where?
Oh, it was along the coast. Yeah.
The coast of Kandor.
Oh, beyond it, further north.
North.
Yeah.
Okay.
In the wildlands, kind of a no man's territory between here and Shadowheart. A thankful buffer, honestly. Otherwise, they'd be here sooner. At least those Aslandians are taking the heat off of us for once. Oh.
Yes, well. But it doesn't really mean anything in Draconic. Like, anything important, other than that.
Well, other than dragons only say important things, but in this case, perhaps the Shadowheart corruption of our fine languages. Nothing important. No. I'm glad I was able to solve that riddle for you. Yes.
She doesn't know more than she's letting on, does she?
Insight? No, she seems quite full of herself, like very happy. She seems confident in her answer, and that she's pleased with herself in having answered your riddle in the native tongue of this, the superior descendants of Eld.
Well, thank you very much for your help.
Well, thank you for thank you.
I go back to Bright.
Hey, how did it go?
Well, it said something about a lighthouse.
It's not a lighthouse, it's a lantern. I mean, maybe it's a lighthouse, but I mean, we don't need her to solve the riddle. We just need someone to speak the word.
Speak the words.
Yeah, speak the... Because, I mean, the riddle's in Draconic, so we need to answer it in Draconic. But I don't know how to say it in Draconic. And I don't know if I can even get the guide to someone who gets, like, the silver. The silver. And, like... Peggy Sue did it once, but then she didn't do it again. And then there was a little mouse or something, and it did it once, but then it didn't do it again. And then I did it, but I only did it once, and then it didn't do it again. So we need to find someone to respond to the silver thing that answers. And I'm kind of surprised that you didn't turn silver when you did it.
I can go back and ask for the exact word for lantern. Or lighthouse.
Yeah, let's try both, because it could be either one, and maybe she'll help you with that. And I'll go too, because that way I can transcribe it, orally.
Sounds
The exact sounds. Because since you can understand the language now, you might not understand how to transcribe it in its literal sense. Does that make sense?
Possibly.
So,
Yes.
Okay.
Certainly reading.
You going back?
Hearing.
And let's try that again.
And I go back to the Dragonborn.
Bright, are you with Mordecai?
I'm going with, because I want to write down exactly the exact syllables.
All right, so Mordecai, you go back to approach, and her eyes light up as you walk back over. Like, oh, well, it's, yeah, oh, you brought someone.
Hi.
This is my friend Bright. My
Hi.
name's Mordecai. I'm sorry, I didn't introduce myself. I have another question for you.
Sure, she doesn't mind, because then she'd have to tell you her name too, and that's always hard.
How would you pronounce the draconic word for lighthouse or lantern even?
Well, it's pronounced either or
Hey, I write those down.
Could you write those down in draconic for us?
You come over here and you break a girl's heart.
I'm not with him. It's not like that. We're just we're coworkers.
Friends.
Oh. So, does that mean that you're free later? I still have 2 days of shore leave.
Sadly, I must break your heart. There's someone else.
It's
Another
not me,
Dragonborn?
just being clear.
Say what, Matty?
Another Dragonborn?
No.
Oh. Another tiefling, then.
Not exactly.
Oh.
She's half-elf.
Aslandian?
Born, but not raised.
Of course. Ah, well. She looks to you. Are you free? Look, I'm not being picky. I've never been with the gnome.
I like it.
Madam, if you are in need of entertainment, I'm sure something can be arranged.
Where's Selter when you need him?
Yeah, you would have. No, that wouldn't work for me. I'm not interested in anyone over 4 feet high. I'm sorry.
I can't blame a girl for trying. Fine, here, let me write your words as well. Hey, you tease a girl. And here you have the scratch out for the letters and.
In response, I do pull out a gem worth 10 gold from my pocket
Okay.
and put it in her hands.
Looks at it. Looks at you. Looks at it. Is this because I'm a dragon?
No, not at all.
Oh, I was gonna say because it totally works. And she kind of flips it and opens the pocket and puts it in.
Simply for your time.
Could you at least say yes? It's because you're a dragon.
Yes, it's because you're a dragon. The most delightful dragon that I've ever met.
She gives a fun little shudder and pats her pocket that has the gem in it, and she walks away whistling.
It's fairly easy, actually.
I mean, 10 gold to translate 2 words. I mean, I wrote entire for less than that.
Our poor scribe right over here, just transcribing manuscripts for like room and board as part of college. Getting a dwarvish tunnel in her wrists for.
No, it's okay. It was a long time ago, and besides, now I can set those things on fire, so it's okay. But meanwhile, let's see if we can get something else to turn silver.
Sounds fair to me.
Maybe we can find just another little creature. Maybe someone, like there's a little squirrel or a little cat or something, like a little stray cat, and I can bring it out here, and maybe it will say it, because that's what the little creature did before. You see if I can find a little kitty.
Okay.
Maybe just
sure.
like a little mouse.
There's you in particular. There's a little mouse that you see scurrying through the rubble.
Okay. I'll see if I can get the little mouse to come over here.
Okay. You could innately talk to cute little critters, so
Sure can.
you kind of like squat down and hey. It looks around.
Yeah. So I've been noticing some animals saying funny things, and I'm wondering if you've heard anything. It sounds like that I heard. Whatever it sounded like, I was able to repeat it before.
If you want to you could reproduce the draconic words. Now, it does like what you're talking to me, and so it very cautiously scurries over to get closer to you and hops on a piece of rubble, and while you're talking to it, it's still looking around very cautiously.
Okay. Well, I'll look around too. I'll make sure that you're safe. I don't want you to get eaten while you're talking to me. That's not how it's supposed to go.
A lot of cats. Haven't seen my pal.
Okay. I'll keep an eye out. What did your friend look like?
Mouse. Like me.
Okay. Um.
Lot-
Any way I could
A lot of opportunities.
specifically? Yeah, I know. Lots of cats.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why is everyone always eating each other?
I don't know. I'm just out here looking for seeds. I figured it
Yeah,
was a good
see,
opportunity.
seeds are fine. Let's see if I have anything. Do I have? I mean, I have lots of rations. So I'll just give the mouse a couple of um little oats or something from my rations. Yeah, like that. Hey.
That's good.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. So have you heard anyone say anything that sounds like Erk, or whatever it sounded like?
Mm-mm.
Oh. Could you say that back to me, maybe?
That's what this conversation's pretty much sounding like to you, Mordecai.
I'm just watching. I'm just watching. I'm entertained.
Hey. Well, did your friend have a name? Anything I can...
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Okay. Well, I'll ask around, and if I see any mice that have a name like that, I'll ask them to come meet you. And even if it's not your friend, you might make a new friend. So it would still be okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, watch out for the cats. I don't see any right around here. But thanks for all your help. Here, have another oat. Okay.
People
Thank you for all your help.
always everywhere. Always scurrying, always getting into places.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. People think that we're bad because we do that.
I don't think you're bad.
I'm glad you're not like them.
Okay.
There's a lot of us. And maybe if we see you around, I'll tell the others, and you'll give us more oats. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I could do that.
Yeah.
I could do that.
Oh.
Yeah.
Huh. Maybe big fire is a great opportunity.
What are you thinking?
More fires mean more oats.
Well, it doesn't really work that way. And the oats, they're not connected.
But we want our oats. Your people take different things.
Like what? What do you mean?
Shiny things. Things that come out of the tower.
Did you see taking things?
People.
What did they take?
Things. Shiny.
You mean like this? I'll hold up like a gold coin.
The mouse takes the coin, kind of flips it, kind of nibbles on it.
It's real. You don't have to check it.
Hands it back. Mm-mm. Other things, just people things.
Conjure up a minor illusion with one of the memory tapes. This one's not real, so you can't check it, but it might have looked like this. Or how about this? And then I make it into the scrying bowl.
Not food.
These aren't food. They're just things that sometimes people might want. They might have value to certain people.
Eh. You want shine? You want shine?
Give you more oats if you take me to the shiny things.
Mordecai, whatever was just squeaked to this little mouse, its black eyes just get so wide, and it just sort of like And its mouth just drops open. Shine from oats?
Yeah, we like shiny things.
The mouse gives a little paw, like... Come back when sky dark.
Hey, will I meet you here? Okay, I'll see you then. I'm really looking forward to it.
So are we. Bring lots of oats.
Okay, I'll bring a whole bunch.
Like more than this many.
Of course. Yeah, I'll bring a whole bunch.
I'm not done. Okay. Still going.
Okay.
Starts doing this because his one paw gets tired.
Okay.
That many.
Okay, I'll bring a whole bunch.
Okay, come back, Skydark.
Okay, I'll see you then.
It bounds away.
So, I had good news and bad news. Which one do you want first?
Bad news. Sure.
Yeah, so, the mouse didn't know anything about the riddle, and he couldn't reproduce it. I even asked him just to say the words back, and it just came out like squeaks.
That was the whole conversation, though. At least from my perspective, I think it's cute. So.
Yeah, I guess it's just like a little talent I have. I mean, when you think about it, human languages are so complicated. We have all these verbs and nouns and tenses and all these things that we have to do, but with animals, it's just
complex too. I've been wanting to learn, but
it's really hard. It's really complicated and has lots of frills and curly cues, and that's just in the writing. But no, with animals, it's just a couple of little clicks and squeaks. There's hardly any vocabulary, and that's always the hard part of any language. So, I don't know why everybody has so much trouble with it. But anyway, no, the mouse said that it'll give us, if we come back, and I don't think the shiny things are gold, because I showed him some gold, and it wasn't gold. But it could be maybe some weapons or magic items or some kind of trinkets. I don't know. It's probably just like silverware. Who knows? But all we have to trade for it is oats, and oats are pretty easy to get. So I think it's probably going to be a good trade.
Sounds like a fair trade to me. If you can.
Yeah. So, but progress to putting the fire out. So that's a thing we're still going to have to do.
Yeah, fire doesn't seem to be going anywhere.
Yeah, in fact, by this point, the fire crew has soaked everything that they could. It doesn't look like the water can actually pass through this fire barrier. So it's everything on the outside of the fire is really wet and sodden. But it's it looks like they're starting to pack things up, and they're kind of
Okay, well, I've been reluctant to do this part, but I'm going to cast Arcane Eye again.
Okay.
And I want to send the Arcane Eye up to the weird black thing up at the top.
Okay. And what were you saying, Mordecai?
Oh, I don't remember what I was trying to say. Okay.
Okay. Bright, your Arcane Eye floats up, and as it crosses the flames, despite being like up here, the last thing you see is an eruption of fire, and the eye disappears.
Turns into a mouse and then disappears. Okay. Okay.
Sorry, I remember what I was saying. Does it look like the fire is spreading at all, or no?
No. The fire's burning, not consuming, not spreading, but also not being able to be put out.
Okay, so we have two possibilities. One is that we have to answer the riddle to make the fire go out, but the other is that, like, this building is... No, I mean, yeah. But the other is that this building actually, like, is some kind of, like, lighthouse of a sort, and it's been placed here. If that's true, it's probably bad because then it would be like a beacon, and it would bring like things here, and they're probably bad.
I'm not
Just going by the statistics and the probabilities, the things that would be attracted would probably be bad.
It seems to be our track record.
So, let's keep trying. Let's keep seeing if we can find.
Some way to get through, maybe?
Oh, I think we can get through pretty easily. I'm just not sure what we would want to do on the other side. Go in there. Now that I know that it dispels magic, that's a little tougher, because we could go through it and it might dispel your. Or it might dispel the illusions that I was going to make to get us through. So, yeah, there's that.
Dispel a lot of things, I think.
So I think we should look for a better way to put the fire out. To find some oats.
I mean, if the mics are able to get in and out, what's keeping us from burrowing underneath the rubble and getting in there ourselves?
And we could.
It's kind of mundane.
We could always dig a tunnel.
Strongest.
Oh, I'm really good at digging, it turns out.
That's handy. I have potions of strength if I need them.
Yeah, no, I have a digging spell. It's turned out to be way more useful than I expected. I just don't think it's the right way. Like, we'd probably like dig a tunnel underneath, and then we'd get to the fire, and we'd find the fire is actually there underground too.
Yeah, that's likely, and I'm kind of running out of things to do. So
Okay, well, let's try one more time. Let's see if we can find another dragonborn, and this time we'll just tell them what to say, and then they won't have to think, because I mean, who wants a dragonborn to think? And then
I kind of like Dragonborn, to be fair.
oh, I didn't know that. Okay, but we'll just tell them what to say, and then maybe one of us. I don't know. I mean, it didn't work when you tried it last time, but maybe they'll do it for us. I'll let you do most of the talking because you're.
Kind of.
So what I'll do in this case is you have this plan. You're gonna go talk to another dragonborn. Before we have to leave though, for lethality here, since we have Celine and Kazimir who are working into the evening at the temple. We have Mordecai and Bright who are gonna try a couple more things or to kind of linger at the scene and see what happens. At some point, you might need to get a lot of votes for the shinies. What I'll do is I will leave off with Investigator Stillwaters taking Wendowin to the local precinct, and there we can cut things off with there are things you all are doing or you're processing, and then we can either do side RP with it, and if you want to advance some things here and there, or we can just still pick it up from where this is at. And I would like to, if the Torpid crew is loaded in, thank you so much for the raid. I gave you some emote spam, some Tuesday hype, as Tuesday's our role playing day instead of our workshop. So thank you for finding us here as we're doing that. So let's go over to Investigator Stillwaters. You have your prisoner of war ? And you're taking her to the local jail that was recommended to you. You encountered the kids who had the thing. Apparently it was a really cool thing that they were looking over till you scared the pee out of them.
Quite literally.
Yeah, quite literally. And now you are approaching the police precinct.
I'm a firm believer in scared straight.
You definitely you put the fear of Palor in them.
Yes, well, on occasion, a firm hand. That being said, we're going to be approaching the precinct.
Okay.
There's a part in Jacob has to acknowledge, may be right. This may not go smooth. This may go absolutely horrendously. That being said, he's a man of the law and a man of his word. And thus far, to the letter of the law, and for the most part in its spirit, he can detain for questioning, but charges are not being pressed formally. As technically, it is not illegal to be dead.
Okay.
When they pass that law, heaven help us all.
Sure. So you go in, and it's definitely a busy time. There's a lot of people who might have been looters or suspects. This is a very busy jail. So when you come in, there's a couple people behind a desk. They have just looks like paperwork sort of halfway pre-filled out and ready to go. Oh, you don't work here.
I'm ready as well.
You're from you're from Green Shield. Yeah.
Sir.
So what? Space is kind of limited. I mean, did she kill someone? Are we talking a high crime, or is she a looter? What's going on?
He leans at the desk to make sure that he doesn't have to speak too loudly. Shadowhaw. You understand now my concern.
Well, was she doing something wrong, or was she just in port?
Well, more accurately, she died on high seas.
So she washed up on shore? I didn't hear of a shipwreck.
Yes, well, he ends up going to his notes. From what I've ascertained, Wendoin, 28, served upon the Wild Cherry, a military merchant hybrid vessel delivering supplies to Old Port. Well, the ship was overtaken by various creatures of unknown origin.
All right, investigator. I get it. I'm not saying what you're doing is wrong, but you're one of those types. Look, I appreciate it. Right now is not the time. She didn't do anything wrong. Can you just take her to the port and give her to her own people? Or did she kill someone?
At this point, she is under investigation. And until I can end up ascertaining as to what exactly ended up happening. She is one of the few witnesses still left standing. Notice I did not use the term breathing.
Why would you? I get it. You're a man of the book. You go by the book. He seems exasperated. He seems very exasperated because, I mean, he's obviously he's busy and whatnot, and you're here. Like you're actually you're here. You're standing at attention. You're going through the notebook, and you just have like you have the old beat cop behind the desk who's just like, yeah, that's how we're supposed to do it. You're really rustling my jimmies here, investigator.
Yes. Well, I've intend to make your day. What I could end up doing is unshackling her right now, in which case her first inclination is to rip to pieces everyone in here and start end up drinking their various fluids. That is what she is. So you understand my hesitation on her letting her go without safely doing so, and why it is that she needs to end up being detained, so I can end up returning to the matter that you are currently over-swamped with, and if we do not end up doing so quickly, you will continue to be swamped for the next, let's estimate about 2 years, as you end up getting buried in mounds of paperwork, which you can end up exercising your formalities there. So,
investigator, I appreciate your dedication to the law, but if going off of what you said is what she is, I mean, we don't really mind prostitution out on the dock area.
Did you not hear what I just ended up saying?
I absolutely did.
Out of character, well played, sir. Very well.
That's great.
Then very well then. We'll start with your internal organs.
Investigator, this is not the time for japery.
Well, that's fantastic. That's not what she's here to offer. What she's here to end up offering is spilling every inch of blood of yours and your family's. That's what she is.
He
So,
like leans to the
if you're
side and
not
looks
capable-
at her, and she just kind of shrugs.
Well.
Look, do you? He leans in like, do you just need a private questioning room? Like, I get it, it's stressful. Do you just need to go someplace for a little bit?
The things I do for the law. At this point, detaining a center would be preferred, but since you have there's such a room available, I will end up accepting that. And when you end up getting my full report, I want you to remember this conversation.
Yeah, fine. Just down the hallway, second on the right. Question her all
Fantastic.
you want. I got a ton more people here that are looting. They're stabbing each other. There's investigator. If I told you there are people who there must have been some magic items in that tower because there are
gestures
people
with
running
one of-
around with things that they shouldn't have, and it's causing
Oh,
mayhem.
yes. I'd imagine. So where do I sign? He ends up pulling out the tiefling horn, like as if it's a pen.
What's that?
Oh, this is one of those many little pieces that you were talking about.
It's a tiefling horn. What of it?
Yes, it is. Found on the scene of the inferno that you are currently trying to get under wraps.
Okay.
At this
Is
point,
the person
there
here
was-
who it belongs to? Is this?
Well, right now, I don't know. I haven't had a chance to end up going over and rounding up the tieflings and putting them in camps. So, let's just move on at this point.
They're giving us enough trouble as it is. Drawn to that tower like moths to a flame. It's look, if it doesn't belong to you, it doesn't belong to anyone you know. Keep it, give it to the followers of Ouija's, or have fun with it. Put it on a necklace. I got 50 more people I gotta book in here, investigator. I appreciate your thorough dedication to the craft, but this really isn't the time. Now, second door on the right.
And straight on till morning, I'm sure.
Well, all right.
I had to, I'm sorry. We'll end it there.
And all right, so yes, you are dismissed by the swamp like desk sergeant as he's trying to process people who are being brought in for for looting and murder and wielding
I'm making a note.
things
I'm
that
making a note of this desk sergeant's name. It's like, okay, when she breaks out and the killing begins, I know exactly who to point to.
Oh, I can't.
The desk sergeant's name is
Don't
Vocont.
worry about it.
Vocont. Vocont.
All right, Vocont. Excuse me, I got an interview to do.
Sorry, some Pepsi went down the wrong.
Pepsi's
Went
the
down the
lieutenant
tree when
at
it's
the
going to
other
go
desk.
down by herself.
All right, so lethality, we'll let you go. I know you got to get over to the Gathering of Nerds to run your 18th level one shot. My goodness, this is an epic level one shot. And of course, thank you for letting me randomly generate the characters. I hope your players have fun with these. Definitely not anywhere near optimized characters, but they should still be really fun to play.
Oh, I hope so too. I have something very, very interesting for them in store. But I mean, before I go, holy crap, Derek! I caught that. I'm not gonna say anything, but I caught that. Wow!
Well, it just so happens that this is a very good time for us to take at least a 10-minute break before we come back with some table talk. And so anything that is said or done after I go to break definitely won't be broadcast. And I'll so for the audience out there, I'll see you in about 10 minutes.
Fantastic job, sir.
No, it's fine.
I'm sorry.